You know what else is scary is just walking outside any given day in America because the 400 million guns in the streets. And boy, in any sane country, this wouldn't happen, but it's just like another day in America. Last weekend, th- this would be the top story, right? Any given time, were we not in the times we are now. But excuse me, sorry. So a series of mass shootings rocked the country last weekend, with 9 people dead and scores of people injured in a slew of mass shooting last week. So they began Saturday morning with multiple shots fired in several incidents in Alexandria, Louisiana, and in Raleigh, North Carolina. At about the same time, sorry, couple hours later, Saturday, there was a third mass shooting when a gunman opened fire with a semi-automatic short-barreled rifle from a boat on a waterfront bar in Southport, North Carolina, leaving 3 people dead and 8 injured. Then, just before midnight last Saturday, a 34-year-old gunman opened fire at the Kickapoo Lucky Eagle Casino along the Texas-Mexico border, and those were just the little shootings. But by the way, just Derek, drive-by shootings from boats now? That's a new one.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, it works. It's not the most stable platform to fire from, but I mean, I'll leave that to Charles since he was the squid.
Yeah, I was going to say, Charles, you're a Navy guy. This is your department.
I knew that was going to come there somewhere. I knew that was coming. I mean, again, it's kind of one of these things. I'm kind of surprised in a certain way that, somebody didn't do this sooner. And that sounds sad to say that, because there's this culture that guns are ingrained in our everyday. I mean, it is your American duty to have whatever. And I'm like, and I just ask myself, like, why? In what, and where does that predominate itself? I mean, years ago when we had the frontier and yeah, you had to go out and do all that stuff. Okay, fine. Overseas, sure, understand that totally. And I'm not against guns as long as it is responsible ownership and all that good stuff. I mean, there are a lot of smart gun owners out there. However, there are folks that should not be near weapons, period, of any type and or sort, because they just have issues that are not properly addressed because our healthcare system is massively under what it's overwhelmed in ways that it just can't keep up with right now, thanks to the dear leader and all the other stupid stuff they're doing. But as far as firing from boats, I mean, yeah, I agree. Not the most effective maybe methodology. Uh, Not something I hope to ever see again, because that just brings up a whole new level of weird.
Nowhere is safe. Nowhere is safe. Even church, which we've seen. We've seen mass violence. We've seen shootings in churches before, but the most deadly incident last weekend was at a Mormon church in Grand Blanc, Michigan, where 4 people were killed and 8 injured in a mass shooting / fire. So this guy, and it's, I don't know if ironic is the word, but in the immediate aftermath of this event, the reaction, especially from the right, was, oh, they're attacking our religion, they're going into churches, they're shooting up the Mormons now. Well, it turns out this was a MAGA guy who thought the Mormons aren't real Christians. This is from the Detroit Free Press. So a city council candidate in Burton, Michigan, which is where the shooter was from. The shooter, the suspect, his name is Thomas Jacob Sanford. So the city council candidate had knocked on Sanford's door a couple weeks earlier. They had little back and forth, little conversation, before the conversation turned to the Church of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, and this Sanford fellow had a lot of questions for this candidate about the LDS Church. Asked him about the Mormon Bible, the role Jesus plays in LDS, and the history of Joseph Smith, and just the movement in general. And this fellow Sanford wound up telling the candidate Chris Johns that Mormonism is the Antichrist. He didn't say anything political. It wasn't red or blue or left versus right. It was, hot Christian on Christian action. Blythe. Sorry.
Wow.
It's not funny,
I
but
mean, this is sectoral violence. This is. You were talking about like Iraq. This is like the Troubles in Northern Ireland.
This is status quo MAGA. MAGA is the Antichrist. None of these people are Christians who are doing this. Christ, Jesus, was a brown immigrant man from Palestine who cared about women and poor people and sick people and the elderly, and literally was murdered by the government of Rome because Jesus was resisting the Roman Empire. MAGA is the Roman Empire. We, having these conversations, are Jesus. That is the blame and shame culture that has been ingrained since before white people took over this land has got to finally fucking stop. Because being told that you are right and everyone else is wrong, also you can have your guns, is what is this is the problem. This is the problem. It is Christian nationalism is the problem. And if these people want to start acting like Jesus, they need to fucking put down their guns, get off their fucking Fox News and Truth Social and X and all the BS, and realize that they are the ones that are wrong.
Yeah. So listen, since I have the three of you here, I do need to bring this up. So, two of these incidents were committed by Iraq War veterans. And here, this is from the Northeastern Global News out of Massachusetts and Northeastern University. So these two incidents are not necessarily emblematic of a trend among military veterans, but 23% of all public mass shootings, and that's defined by 4 or more victims, are committed by individuals with some military service, though not necessarily combat experience. Now, to put that in perspective, so 23% of all mass shootings are committed by somebody, with a history of military service. About 13.5% of U.S. men are reported to have served in the armed forces. About 1.5% of women. So that's about 15% of Americans have served in the armed forces. About 23% of your mass shootings are committed by somebody with military service. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but that seems like veterans are overrepresented there. Derek, what do you attribute that to?
First of all, the lack of mental health coverage. Hell, I'm still waiting to see a head shrinker for the VA, and I've been waiting a little while. But yeah, it's mental health for one. That's the big thing, is mental health issues. And if I could real fast go back to the Grand Blanc, Michigan shooting,
Please.
real fast. In Martinsville, we actually held an interfaith vigil that had Mormon, Presbyterian, Baptist, and Jewish congregations come together and really sit down and talk. And it was a beautiful event. And it was great to see different faiths come together for something that horribly happened. So I wanted to thank everybody who came out for that. But yeah, veterans, we're always going to be overrepresented and stuff for some odd nutball reason. I would have to say mental health issues are the main cause of it, probably.
Yeah. Charles,
But
do
most
you
of
agree?
these people are also Christian nationalists.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this goes back to the KKK. I mean, a lot of people who follow that type of propaganda sadly also join the military for one reason or another. One, because they think it's cool to get the fucking guns. Two, they're fucking poor and being suppressed by their government and have no other fucking options. Three, they are not told that there are options and better ways to deal with this trauma and the socioeconomic problems and the rage and the abuse by Christian nationalist churches. They may be veterans, but it's not the military itself per se. It is still the overwhelming Christian nationalist rhetoric that is being put into these people's heads.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I was going to ask Charles. No, you go ahead. You
Sorry.
go ahead.
I have a kind of I think it is a combination of both of those things, of mental health, of the Christian nationalist ideologies, and the socioeconomic things that people come from. Because there's times where there are folks that don't have the opportunity to advance themselves because they're held in place by whatever uh, that is in place by either their local government or whatever. But I also think too, for those of us that get out and we've gone through what we've gone through, when we get out of service, there is not a reacclimation to civilian life type of, we spend so much time going through boot camp, through A schools, through, MOS schools, whatever, to do what we do in the military. But then when we come out, hi, you're on your own. Bye. See you.
Mm-hmm.
There is, I mean,
Yep.
literally, maybe you might get a 5-day class. Hey, here's how you fill out a job application. Don't screw it up. Okay, that does not help anybody. When you come out of service, I've been out of service for almost over 20 years now, and I will tell you, I still struggle in the civilian world because there are just certain things to us that does not make a bloody bit of sense. On that same line, if you've experienced traumatic brain injury, or if you've been through severe levels of PTSD, I mean, to the point where hallucinations and some of these things, and you're more susceptible to this Christian nationalist rhetoric, you're going to be a very manipulable tool for these things to happen. And whether they intended to do it or not, okay, that there's debates on that either side. But I agree with some of how Black was framing it too, that these folks that are in that world, they are not what Christianity is built on. I mean, if you look at true Christian, and I'm a non-Christian, and this me preaching this, so I'm saying true Christians are exactly how Blythe framed it. They operate on kindness. They want to live their faith. They want to help homeless. They want to make sure everybody's taken care of. That mentality is what we should be kind of looking forward to, helping everyone, including those that are coming out of the service that might be prone to these things. And then there again, they might even not be total prior service. They may have been kicked out for one reason or another, and they may harbor, anger and resentment, and that manipulates into, because once that door's open, that the government is against you, it's not a far stretch to say that everything is against you. And if you think everything's against you, what is your basic instinct? Fight or take out whatever the threat is. And that's where I think it's so easy to paint with just a brush on certain these things, but I think it's way more nuanced than that sometimes.
Well, it makes
Yeah.
us desperate and isolated. So he's not wrong, especially with guard and reserves, which I was in the reserves. You spend 12 to 18 months on a deployment or in basic or AIT, and you live and breathe what someone else is telling you to do. You don't have to decide what to eat, when you're going to eat, when you're going to sleep. You don't have to decide what to wear. And then you're released to the masses. When I got home from Iraq, I had 90 days to find my own insurance because the military wouldn't cover me. Then I got kicked off of insurance for a pre-existing condition I had when I was 15. I couldn't get hired anywhere because I had no clientele in the industry that I was in. I tried to get a security job with Rolls-Royce, and I was literally told in person to my face by the hiring manager, your social life and your age is going to get affected by this. I'm not going to hire you. I literally just got done doing night res for like fucking 12 months, and you're telling me I'm unqualified for this? So we don't actually get treated with the respect that we need. And it's even worse for females or people of color in the military because we are dealt with the discrimination in the military. I got my E5 packet pulled because I attended a fucking boxing match with other male soldiers in my goddamn ugly PTs because it looked bad for the boss. No, 3 women did something that you didn't like, motherfucker, and he pulled our packets. That is discrimination that we just had to suck it up and deal with in country. And I got home, my ex-husband, who was also military, cheated on me. His girlfriend sent me her pregnancy test in Iraq, stopped paying the bills. And because I was upset and traumatized by that, I got asked to leave my unit. It was my fault. So the military also eats its own and does the same thing. And then they put us in the civilian world who treats us also the same way. Like, I lost family from that divorce. I lost my battle buddies from that divorce. I was treated like it was all me that was the problem for reacting to my circumstances. So there's not a good infrastructure in place for military personnel inside or outside of the military when they are being treated this way, and they will eat their own, and that is going to cause resentment. And a lot of times our veterans get out and we look for that camaraderie, our battle buddies, and a lot of times white men are finding it in these white domestic terrorist style groups. And that's because it feels safe and comfortable, right? And that's what we want and we need, but we don't have that support by and large. And I'm still not convinced that the military has changed that much, even though I thought it was, and now we're just backsliding.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it sounds like a bad idea to train people how to be lethal and use them up and spit them out and throw them out on the streets without any help when they have that training. Lots to say there.